So today we got an update for Overwatch 2. This was the Sojourn update. As you can see, we got a gameplay trailer and a community Q&A. Of course, neither of those things actually happened, and let's get into what did happen.
I don't know. Are you guys okay with us looking at a little gameplay? How you guys feel about that? I think we can give that.
I would love to see some gameplay. Seeing some gameplay would be absolutely amazing, so let's go ahead and jump ahead to the gameplay here.
If only it were that easy. After all, heroes aren't born. They're made. Attack with me!
That's not gameplay. That's pretty cool. Let's see some more of it. Okay.
We're playing by my rules.
Railgun powered and ready to fire.
We'll see the railgun. So that's cool. It's definitely not gameplay, but it's a cool opening trailer there. So that's something that we'd like to see in a developer update. We get about 2 minutes of this. You can go check this one out. It's all around. But let's go ahead and jump over to what else we're going to see in this update. So here we go.
My gosh. I was so excited that, we're finally going to get a Black woman in Overwatch. And then on top of that, to hear that she's from Toronto.
Cool. Black woman in Overwatch. First black woman in Overwatch. That makes sense. Overwatch has had a lot of diversity. We've had people from all over the world. We've even had things that, aren't human. We've had Omnics. We've had people literally all over the place. That's cool. Makes sense to me. Cool. I like it. That's something that definitely makes sense for them to discuss a little bit in this tight, well-packed marketing tool that they're using to promote their game, right? I mean, surely that makes sense. Little section on that. Let's jump ahead. Let's jump ahead a little bit here and see a bit more.
Elephant of the room, just the fact that, she is the first Black female hero in Overwatch. And this is after 6
Okay, that's fine. That's only 2 minutes later. Still talking on this topic. Absolutely makes sense. This is important. And, you're going to cover it a bit. No big problem there at all. So let's jump ahead another minute or two.
Of this type and really reach a broader audience. Something that our community can relate to, a character that they can connect with a little bit more.
So I guess his community there is Black people, or does he mean the Overwatch community? Doesn't hugely matter. That's fine. Totally fine. We're only another 2 minutes ahead. We're getting a little long on a topic for what you would want to be a tight marketing piece to introduce your character, to build up hype for Overwatch 2, to break some of the communication silence, to show that they're on this communication train. They're going to hype up their game. It's going to have a good landing. It's about the end of where you'd expect to hear about it, and that's fine. So let's jump ahead a little bit further and go, hey, surely they're still not talking about this another 20 minutes later, right? Surely we're either seeing more gameplay footage, or we're talking about balance, or we're talking about how it feels to play. Certainly we're going to get into something that as we go through here.
be a tough question, but it's something that needs to be said. It's something that needs to be acknowledged because at the end of the day, Sojourn is the first Black female hero in the game. She's Afro-Canadian.
Okay. We just jumped 20 minutes and we're still talking about this. So, again, like big, momentous, important. I'm not opposed to it, but let's be honest, this is Activision. This is a for-profit company that we're talking about here that wants to hype up its game, and this was put in front of people as a gameplay trailer, and we haven't yet seen any gameplay, in a community question and answer. And so I guess our community is just this panel of 4, and she's our host. And okay, that's not really living up to either of those things at this point. But that's okay. Maybe we'll go a bit further. Maybe I just grabbed the wrong moment. Let's go ahead and see a little bit further ahead here.
To find this character, and we knew there was this gap in our roster. There's a gap in the game industry in general. You don't see a strong Black female African American hero character. That's part of our goal is.
Okay, I mean, he's responding to the question. It's only 2 minutes later here, so that's fine, I guess. But this is really a lot of time that we've spent on this topic. Maybe we're going to move on. Maybe we're going to see something a little bit different here.
I really hope that once we do finally get a Black woman in the game, that it doesn't just feel like it was just put together or just
Right.
thrown together.
Okay. Maybe we can go a bit further.
Attract more people to play the game. And if people don't see themselves represented in that game, they're not going to play it. Obviously, Kiki and I are exceptions.
I could get into lots of evidence that suggests that's not true. People play lots of games that they don't see themselves in. People play games where they're, role-playing something completely different. Like, I'd have lots of evidence that that's not true. But that's fine. We'll deal with it. The point was more, this continues. This isn't going away. In fact, if you're going through this live stream demo that we had, it's about an hour. These 12 minutes don't count because it's a 10-minute intro here. So what we're looking at is, it's an hour. We get that cool cinematic for about 2 minutes. It's not actually gameplay, which I think many of us would have really liked to see. But hey, the 2-minute trailer definitely worth checking out. You get a little bit on the railgun being hard to balance, which I actually think is important, and I do want to cover a little bit of that here. So let's go ahead and jump to that.
A little worried if I'm being honest, because it's pretty hard to tune that weapon. We tend to probably, I'm sure the chat will laugh at this and everything, but we tend to try to find the fun of something really aggressively in lieu of balance sometimes. Like,
that's not the best thing in the world to hear. Let's keep listening.
We try to make things balanced as best we can. Often it's like definitely a goal, but it's not the primary goal, because I think we would have a much watered down game if we prioritize balance above all else. So,
okay, but to what degree? Because if you got yourself an esport and you went hard, at least at Overwatch 1, on it being an esport on Overwatch League, you then even set up a secondary league and contenders rather than having third-party organizers handle it, that's going to be alarming to some people that balance isn't really at the forefront there. Now, it doesn't have to be absolute king all the time. Other things can weigh in. But if it's not even, the top concern with other concerns competing with it, maybe that's a little bit alarming.
We try to keep the railgun.
Though, of course, it is a game. You do want the game to be fun. If it's not fun, you don't have any player base. But still, this is something that'll certainly be fuel for many debates that continue through here of, hey, what are we doing? Does balance need to take priority? Does fun need to take priority? At what level? At, a medal rank level? At a professional level? Where does the balance come in? This will certainly be more fodder for that debate as time goes on. So, we had the 2-minute cinematic intro. We had the railgun is hard to balance, which is interesting. We had about 10 minutes on cybernetics and disabilities not really being disabilities in Overwatch. That was a bit of an interesting point that they made there. Sure, we can go with it. And then we had about 50 minutes of she's a black woman and the reactions to her being a black woman, and our host here kept bringing it back to that, which is what it is. You guys can let me know what you think about that being the topic of the video down below. But what I'm going to say is diversity may be their strength, and I'm actually serious about that. They brought a ton of new gamers to the first-person shooter genre, a ton of people that didn't previously play first-person shooters to the FPS genre with Overwatch. So, I'm not saying that in any way tongue-in-cheek, but marketing is not their strength. Diversity may be their strength. Marketing is not their strength. This was not a terribly well-received live stream. It wasn't tight enough to be a well-done marketing thing. What you would like is that 2-minute video trailer. You can absolutely then talk about, hey, first black woman, that's awesome. It's a missing thing in a lot of video games. Cool, let's go with it. Then you go into her abilities, and then you do some real gameplay, or maybe you do some real gameplay before talking about the abilities. Doesn't really care, and maybe a little discussion about, hey, it was hard to balance this railgun. We like what we've done with her ult, or hey, we think we may need to bring this back a little bit, but we've really found she's worked well like this, that sort of thing. This was not that. You wanted something tighter for your live stream here. You want something more put together. They struggled with this. And the community did not receive this well. I just want to point this out here. We can take a look over at the competitive subreddit. They're very unhappy that it's an hour-long live stream with no actual gameplay. We can see, new content, current game, great. We can see someone talking about actually what I just said, which is it should have been devs talking about the hero design, pros talking about gameplay, community members speaking on what the hero means regards to representation, problem, crisis averted. So this is being referred to as a crisis. This is getting a fair amount of support. This is similar to how I'd have done it. I don't actually think you need the pros in there talking about it. That gets too complicated with how you're letting one of them out of NDA, but not really. You don't really want to get legal involved for that sort of thing. Not that it would be a huge deal. But yes, and all that in 15 minutes would have been a perfect way to do it. Overwatch team just doesn't fundamentally understand PR and building hype. Okay, yeah, you're going to see a fair amount of that. We can move on to Flat, who's got a reaction up on Twitter. Flat says, today I was shocked by the response of the community to today's stream. On the most basic level, if you can't not understand why this representation is needed, just look at the reactions. People so desperately want to take away the happiness and inclusiveness of others. So Vlad's very unhappy with the community, and you could see that in the Twitch chat here, that they weren't particularly happy about 50 minutes, 40 minutes on, hey, black woman, black woman, black woman. And I can get that. I totally get why Flats is having this reaction. It's not the most wonderful thing in the world to see in Twitch chat, but the reason that's happening, the reason you're seeing negative reactions over on the Reddit, negative reactions here, negative reactions over on the main Reddit, is going to be because it wasn't put together with a good marketing video. It actually disservices the cause that is trying to be pushed forward here by having honestly not prepared for this terribly well and not done the level of rollout, the level of developer update that we've seen with other heroes here. It's a tighter, better marketed product. And we can go over to the Overwatch forums. We can say, Sojourn looks disgusting. I assume that's talking about her abilities, how just overpowered. We can see, did we forget about Orisa and Effie? And that would be reference to Orisa was created by Effie, and Effie is a black girl, and Orisa is female as an omnic, and therefore if has a black female as her parent, then she must be a black female. I guess that's what they're going for here. They can see lots about terrible dev livestream here. We see they're not calling this communication. So not too happy there. And then we can again see things over on the main subreddit for Overwatch, our Overwatch, that they're not terribly thrilled with what they're seeing. This dev live stream feels like one of those hour-long work meetings that could have been a single paragraph email, getting a fair amount of support. I don't care about lore, that's just me. They want gameplay, start for content. After this stream, I miss Jeff. And I think that's going to be a common sentiment because better prepared, better put together reveals that we saw in those. So that's really what I wanted to cover here. I know it's controversial. I know this was a controversial thing. You're going to see takes like Flats that say they're incredibly disappointed in their community. You're going to see lots of people who are disappointed that it wasn't gameplay. You're going to see lots of people going, hey, 50 minutes on this topic, 40 minutes on this topic wasn't appropriate. It actually kills the hype around it, does a disservice. That's probably the take that I'd take. It's absolutely fine to, do that, have a few minutes on it. It can be good, and hey, it is important, but that's what we're looking at here. So let me know what you guys think. Was this a good live stream, a bad live stream? Did we just expect the wrong thing, even though this live stream said gameplay and community, and community Q&A, and it wasn't really those things? What do you guys think? Were you happy with this? Does this meet the need for more communication that the community has been asking for? Or how would you hope that they do future releases? Let me know down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this sort of coverage, please do drop a like, consider subscribing, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks. Temporal out.